Now, Bayelsa State is on the brink of a political showdown as supporters of Governor Diri and former River State Governor Wike have scheduled rival rallies at the same venue. The development has raised concerns about potential violence and the broader issue of political intolerance in Nigeria's democratic space. With past incidents of election-related violence and growing factionalism within the ruling and opposition parties, political analysts warn that such confrontations could destabilize the state if not properly managed. Now, Arise News analyst Mr. Dayo Sobowale joins the conversation to discuss the unfolding situation, the risks posed by the clash, and the urgent need for security agencies to prevent a breakdown of law and order. He will also examine the broader implications of increasing political intolerance in Nigeria, drawing lessons from past incidents and exploring possible solutions to foster peaceful political engagement. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Earlier, when the Governor Diri raised the alarm about this potential crisis and protests coming up in the state, the senior special assistant to the Minister of the FCT had said that it was not going to happen. He dismissed the claim, calling it a shameful and baseless claim. Now we're seeing this happening, the planned protests between the Wike group and, of course, the Diri supporters. What do you think is the origin of this, and what impact do you think it would have in the security situation in the state?
Well, the potential for violence is very high, and it's unthinkable that after they have both won each other, they still put the date for the rally at the same place at the same time. That's not even a recipe for violence. It is a violent act. And the security agencies should nip it in the bud by cancelling it. Some just cancel the event because the potential for violence is too high. It's unbelievable. But I read the posters, writing people. They want to create violence, and they should be called to order. The governor and the convener of this body from the PDP. Although you see that it's a PDP affair, but some rumbling, that's from the enemy within the PDP taking on the real PDP. It should be nipped in the bud by the security forces by just cancelling the event. That's all.
It's a solid call you just made, Mr. Sobowale, because, of course, safety is key.
Of course.
And prevention is definitely better in this case. But when you look at situations like this, Mr. Sobowale, how does this reflect the personalization of politics in Nigeria, where loyalty to individuals often supersedes institutional or ideological allegiances?
You know, I've always talked about the vibrancy of our political system when issues like this arise. But I'm not for this. I'm not for this. This is a recipe for political instability. Imagine if this event goes on and there's violence, and then the government declares another state of emergency in Bayelsa. I mean, it means the Ijaws are literally wiped out of government through governmental suspension of their two governments, that's Bayelsa and Delta. It is not on. And I had the governor talking to some elders, and they spoke quite well. But you see, his action after the speech does not reflect the act of a peaceful man. You said we should look at the background. The background to this thing is very much before our eyes. You get me? When the federal government suspended the Fubara government, Diri and some leaders in the South criticized the federal government for it. If you want to be mischievous, maybe the government is dangling the prospect of emergency before Diri himself, which is a political consequence of what he said. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for a democratically elected governor to be part of an incitement to violence. It is not really part of our culture. You see, you mentioned something about intolerance. We still do not understand the meaning of opposition. Opposition politics should be critical or cooperative. Doesn't need to be combative. Doesn't need to be combative. See what Trump is doing in the US is using the full powers of the executive presidency, because in the system, it's a winner-takes-all thing. So the Democratic Party will sit back, go and find the reason why it lost the election, and plan for the midterm elections. That's what we should be doing here. But see, it is the opposite that happens here. All the candidates that lost the election to the person that won are talking in such a way that he has no right to be in government. It is not done. It is not done. And in the presidential system, it is a winner-takes-all thing. It's not a power-sharing coalition process. The winner takes all, and you hold your peace until the next election and plan towards the election. If the PDP had put its house in order and made sure it eliminated Wike from their midst, we won't be having this. But they went to sleep like somebody who slept in a thatched house with a thatched roof with fire on it to consume everybody inside. That's what is happening now.
You know, Mr. Sobowale,
yes.
the whole issue is stemming from the dispute or the internal disorder within the PDP, as you rightly said. And this is looking like something brewing from the, the 2023 presidential primaries, where Diri supported Atiku as against supporting the FCT minister. But how do you see this affecting the political landscape within Bayelsa State and also affecting the people of the state? You mentioned earlier that the police should take a stance in quelling this violence. Do you see them taking that stance? And how would this affect the political landscape?
I don't know what their duty will be if they don't stop it. But they should know that the potential for violence is high. How can you put political rallies, even if it is a religious rally, you don't put the venue at the same place at the same time? The government, that is going to become some conflict. So it is just rational and reasonable for the security forces, not only the police, to stop it, and stop it well before that date, in the interest of public safety and peace. Let's leave it at that.
Well said, Mr. Sobowale. Now, in the event that your good advice falls on deaf ears, let's talk about potential legal implications. If either party refuses to yield and we see a case of violence, who bears the responsibility?
That is immaterial. These things should not take place. It will be irresponsible of any government to allow violence in a state which is part of the country. To be irresponsible of any government to allow that to happen.
But Mr. Sobowale, we've seen a lot of irresponsible gestures that have taken place in
Nigeria. You see, politics is about disagreements. Disagreement. You see, out of frustration, our grand old man, Obasanjo, said, I read it just now, that democracy in Nigeria is governed by a few people, with a few people, over a large number of people. Yeah. So why are you saying they will not listen? What I'm saying is in their own interest. I'm not saying they won't. And you see, don't goad me to say what I'm going to say.
Please do.
You see, these three, I'll call them gangster states, military states in ECOWAS, they have followed the example of Trump. They have raised tariffs on people coming from other. You see, we should always look at that sort of thing. If democracy does not perform well, there's always military intervention. And if there is protracted violence and lawlessness or potential of lawlessness and anarchy, the beneficiary is the military. And so what will we say we will gain from military regime now? So I'm telling you, the present president will not want the military to stall his tenure. So he'll make sure that there will be peace in Bayelsa, just as he made sure there is peace in Rivers. Let's leave it at that.
Oh, okay. So you see a potential emergency rule in that state?
You have not listened to me.
No, you mentioned earlier that perhaps there are some people sensing
that is a political ploy.
Okay.
They say your enemy is your friend. If the APC wants to eliminate PDP entirely, is that not deployed? Is that not the strategy they should adopt? Sobowale has been suspended, and then if they go Diri too into creating lawlessness and the state of emergency, who is beneficiary is the other party. Can't you see that?
Well,
yes.
we will just keep our fingers crossed to see how that pans out.
That's
But
Machiavellian
what role
politics.
do you think the inauguration of the new associate Bayelsa chapter will play in the, unfolding crisis? They had said that that's the people who plan to organize the protest had said that they would create a
body.
the
it's not the political
Bayelsa
party.
state.
They are youths. They are entitled to. You see, all these theories about freedom, freedom and human rights is when you have peace and stability. Here there is anarchy. Everybody will flee in different directions. You get me? And there will be destruction of property and loss of lives. That is why I go back to my initial take on this. The rally must not hold. Sam, what else do you want to say?
What else do you want to ask? I mean, we're with you on that, for sure. Well, Mr. Sobowale, we're still trying to unpack the genesis of all these developments that we're seeing. When you look at this situation, what does it reflect about the potential deeper ethnic or regional tensions in Bayelsa State? Do you see anything like that?
This is a political dispute between two parties. One which has crippled itself internally, and one in power in the center. You get me? With the former party in power having a stalwart who is still a member, being a member of the cabinet of the ruling party. The potential for dispute is always there. And let me tell you, until the PDP can find a way to remove the wicked menace in its midst, is going down the hill. That is what Atiku and Obi is not really part of them. But I have said this here before. The party building is part of institutionalization of the ethics of democracy. You must build your party so that you can compete and win elections. I'll give you an historical example. When Mandela came out of prison, he wanted to be secretary of his party because he wanted to build the party. But they forced him to be president. And he said, okay, we'll be president for 5 years. Such people are unusual. But then, if they are building the party, you know what is happening to the party now? Corruption and so many things. Even the whites who are in the minority, they are forming coalition with them because they have lost the confidence and votes of the masses. So, I'm sure the APC, especially the president, he will not want anarchy to brew from Bayelsa or from River State. So he will nip it in the bud. And I assure you, sooner than later, even if the police do not, well, the police, they are under him, the secretary. Do you really look at the prospect of this rally holding?
Well, this is Nigeria. We've seen a lot of things that are not supposed to be happening.
Don't think the worst. We're in Nigeria now. Don't think the worst of all.
So that is why we're having this conversation to see.
It will not hold.
Well,
yes. Because if it holds, it will create. You see, you want people to die. The security forces will need. The ideal is for it not to hold, in the ball.
Of course, because we have institutions that should do that. But we do hope that they do their job as they should, and are expected to. But we must
give them benefit of doubt.
All right, we will.
Patriotic Nigerians.
Given benefit of doubt given.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dayo Sobowale, for your time on our.